All right, good day, everyone, and welcome to the Magi Show. Today we got a special episode planned. It's our first live stream on Facebook, so keeping my fingers crossed that this goes correctly. And I was lucky enough to get a really cool guest to help with the first Facebook stream. His name is Rob Daniels, and I actually met Rob when I started working at CKWR 98.5 FM, and he came in as a co-host to talk about different paranormal subjects, but he's also got a really cool show of his own, so we're going to talk a lot about that on the show today. I guess before we have any further delays, I'll just read Rob's introduction here. Yeah, and sorry if the video looks a little bit grainy today. The lighting in my studio actually broke, and I have my backup lighting going for today, so you'll notice that I got a little bit of artifacts going, but soon I'm going to have that corrected, and just have to go down to the hardware store and pick up some new pieces to fix the lighting. Okay, so I guess next I'll read Rob's introduction here. Right, Rob has spent the last 25 plus years working in various forms of media, including TV as a producer, director / editor, and in radio as a music director and production engineer. On the stage with Drayton Entertainment in Twist and Shout, and The Legends of Rock and Roll. Since 2000, Rob has been the host of a movie, TV, and video game soundtrack radio program called Visions in Sound on FM 98.5 CKWR. And Rob has a huge interest in the paranormal and UFOs, and is interested in producing documentaries such as Haunted Houses of the Waterloo region and UFOs in Canada. Rob has also appeared as a frequent guest on CKWR's show On the Fringe, that's the show that I'm on, and where he has shared recent paranormal events in his life, as well as his thoughts on UFOs and aliens. Rob currently works for 98.5 CKWR as their production engineer. So I guess, Rob's introduction is pretty wild here. I'll have to ask him a few questions about how he got started doing all this. So before any further delays, I guess I'll give Rob a call here on Skype, and hopefully our Skype connection goes smoothly. And everyone can help pray to the Skype cloud if they want me to get a good connection going. Alright, let's give Rob a call. Oh, there you are, Rob. Hey.
Hello.
Welcome to the Magi Show.
Awesome. I'm really glad to be here.
Cool. I guess I'm going to have to update our little chat thing here so we can get some live comments going for the show. I'll just do that, I guess, while maybe I ask you the first question for today is, how did you get started in doing radio?
Well, let's see. It has all started kind of back. It actually goes back to when I was a kid. I used to do radio shows on tape in the basement of the house, and played a bit of music, did a little bit of the greatest hits of all time kind of thing.
Nice.
And so it kind of got started that way. I've got tapes of me doing saying that Michael Jackson was the greatest songwriter ever, when I was like 14, 15 years old, before my voice changed.
No kidding.
Those might appear on my show one day. We'll see how that all works out. But cool. From there, I was a huge follower of Foster Hewitt. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was the voice of hockey.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he used to do a lot of the CBC early CBC broadcasts and such.
Cool.
So was a big influence on me getting into kind of heading towards radio. Now, when I got to college, and kind of a little bit before that, I had taken a co-op term as a television in television on the channel 20, Community 20.
Okay.
And so I loved that so much that I kind of stuck with it.
Nice.
And from there, it was like I loved TV. I stuck with it for 15 years. But radio was kind of always in the back of my mind. And when I got the opportunity in 1999 to do a sit-in with one of the local programmers, Paul Harriet. He's actually doing news for, I believe it's 6:40 a.m. or something along those lines. It's the local radio station.
Okay.
Or one of the local news stations. So he was the one that on his advanced warning program that I got to first sit in and talk about soundtracks.
Wow.
And we did it again, and then he said, "Well, why don't you apply for a time slot?"
Oh.
Okay. So I did, and I guess the rest you could say is history.
Cool.
Because from there, on June 9th, 2000, I started my first show, and actually just 2 weeks ago, I passed the 900th show.
Wow! Congratulations.
Thank you very much. No, it's been a great journey to get from where I am to where I am today.
Okay.
Or where I am today.
Cool. And yeah, I guess maybe I'll bring up the first slide right away because it has to do with the next question I wanted to ask.
Sounds good.
So I guess you've worked at a bunch of different places, but when did you first begin working with CKWR then? Well,
CKWR, I was actually a volunteer back in 2008. That's when the show ended on CKMS, and we moved over. I moved over to CKWR. So I've been there since 2008. Then
Okay.
the opportunity came up in 2012 when the production engineer was retiring, and the job opened there, and so that's where being a production engineer came into what I was doing.
Oh, nice. And what made you decide to do your show? Here, I'll put up the picture for it. The Visions and Sound?
Oh, yeah. Well, Visions and Sound actually started as a couple of different things. It actually originally started as a video documentary that I was working on in college.
Okay.
And it was kind of like there was when they started to talk about the reuse fees and such that I would have to pay so that I could play the music and have it going for all time.
Yeah.
That became a kind of a hindering factor. So then after that, I thought, okay, well, let's write a book.
Okay.
But a book is, I got to the point where a book is kind of just that. It's just it's kind of a moment in history, and the information gets stale very, very quickly. So, and of course, with soundtracks and that sort of thing, it's constantly changing. I mean, when I first started in 2000, the amount of movie soundtracks that I had was nowhere near what I have now, and you can see just a little bit behind me as to what's in the racks there. I just passed 4,000 soundtracks recently. That's movie, TV, video game soundtracks. When I first started, so
just 1 second here. I got a little bit of feedback.
In 2000.
Oh, I see why. Sorry, I was just opening another window and I forgot to mute it.
The amount of anyway, movie soundtracks that I had was nowhere near what I have now. There, and you can see just a little. Again with the whole idea of me getting into radio at the CKMS, that was where that's where it kind of culminated. The whole idea. The idea had been kind of rattling around in my brain for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then and then it just like once it all just kind of came to like a bolt of lightning one day, and just somebody said, "Why don't you do a radio show?"
Yeah.
Well, that makes perfect sense. So that's where that all came from. And actually, Visions in Sound was I was thinking about a name for the show, and a friend of mine said, just off the top of his head, he had no inkling of what I was talking about, except I mentioned I was doing soundtracks. He says, "Well, why don't you call it Visions in Sound?"
Cool.
I thought a second, and I said to myself, "Can I use that?" And he says, "Yeah, no problem." And so the whole name of the show was just kind of happenstance that the guy happened to be in the same room as I was, and he was a colleague, and he just said, "Okay, that's," and it was and it to me it fits perfectly with what
No, it is a great name, and it's pretty original too, right?
Well, yeah, I mean it's kind of a I really like the name. It's funny, I hadn't really given it much thought until just recently about just how much the name fits with with everything. And I mean, it doesn't necessarily even have to be like movies. It's TV, it's video games, it's the virtual reality games that are coming out now that actually are. I recently did a show on or the different soundtracks, and there's stuff like that that's coming out now that the name has stayed relevant. I haven't had to change the name, which I think is kind of cool.
No, yeah, that is really cool. No, it kind of reminds me of one of the favorite TV shows that I used to like watching was Electric Playground, and they talked a lot about those same subjects, right? Like video games, movies, and their show has been over for a while now, so it's really nice to see that your show is still going.
Well, one of the hosts, Tommy Tallarico.
Yeah, I know Tommy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a video game composer.
Yeah.
And he was, one of the half of the Electric Playground guys.
Yeah.
And I have a few of his scores kicking around in my collection. But yeah, he's contacted me on a couple of occasions just to say, we got this video game concert live. Yeah, video games live.
Yeah, it's funny that you mention all this because I got some slides ready to talk about Tommy and video games live for the show, and we didn't even plan it in advance.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great guy to talk to, and I'm actually really looking forward to I really want to try to get to that show.
Yeah.
Because it's the kind of thing. I mean, when I think about when I first started doing the show, there were very few video game scores that were released. Now they're released as a part of the whole process of releasing the game. And now whereas video games used to have the developer's buddy would do the music for the game. Now
kidding.
Now you've got composers like Bear McCreary. You've got composers like Daniel Leaked, who unfortunately passed away just recently. But they're the big name composers doing video game scores, and it's not just it's no longer the blips and bleeps that the very first game I ever played on the Commodore 64, kind of dates me there, was Forbidden Forest, and that had great music, and it was done by a nobody, a guy named Paul Norman.
Okay.
But, I mean, that's where I come from. I'm not I don't have any fond memories of the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was the Commodore 64 for me, and it had some great music. And recently, I actually did, not recently, but in the last little while, I've done a game where I would, for example, when I did the Blade Runner, my Blade Runner show for Blade Runner 2049.
Okay.
There was a game released on the Commodore 64, based on and it had the music based on Vangelis's music, So I was able to track down a copy of the piece, and I played it on the show.
Cool.
And I mean, there are very few people that I know of that play that 8-bit music on the show, or on radio in any form, except maybe ironically, and that sort of thing. But I play it as, when I did the Castlevania music.
Yeah.
I tracked down some 8-bit tracks for
Nice.
the original game from the NES, because it wasn't released on the 64, or it was, but it wasn't as widespread. So yeah, this it's great to have this massive. Like I said, when I started in 2000, there was hardly any video game scores out there.
Yeah.
And you can pretty much find them. Like YouTube is a perfect place to find old stuff. And then there's stuff you can download. There's collections that are being released now. So yeah, it's a really big it's a big industry now, and I'm happy to have been there kind of at the beginning when it all kind of just it was all kind of starting and that sort of thing. And I would bring music like, well, I got this here. This is probably one of the earliest video game soundtracks that I have. It's from the point and click adventure, the Lucasfilm game The Dig.
Oh, nice.
Or LucasArts game called The Dig, and it was one of the last of the big point and click adventures from them. And it has a fantastic score. And if you have not heard it, I highly recommend that you go out and look for it. It is amazing stuff.
Okay, cool. I'll check that out. Yeah, and I actually got a Video Games Live trailer clip just set up for the show today. It's only about 30 seconds long, so maybe I'll just play that quickly so people can get an idea of what Video Games Live is like and where video game music has gone or has evolved into. And just to let you know, you won't be able to hear the clip on your end, but we'll be able to hear you talk still. So if you want to mute your microphone just till it's over with, that would work probably best.
Sounds good.
All right, so we'll be back in a second, viewers. Here's a clip of Video Games Live put on by Tommy Tellerico.
The critically acclaimed, multimedia, award-winning concert spectacular the world has been talking about.
Love the music, love the lights. One of the best nights of my life.
Best show ever.
This is like freaking awesome, dude!
It had something for everybody tonight.
Prepare yourself for Video Games Live. Available now.
All right, we're back, and that was the commercial for Video Games Live. And it's, I'm going to pass this show on to Tommy after, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that maybe he'll help share it since we mentioned his work. Get some more exposure going for both of our shows.
I just pulled this out of my collection. This is the first volume of Video Games Live. Here, I'll try and get the reflection off of that.
Oh, there, yeah. Now we can see it.
And I've got like Volume 2 and Volume 4, and they've all got some great music on it from various video games. And I found, oddly enough, it's got Tommy's signature in it.
Oh, nice. That's really cool.
Yeah, he was. It was. They came to Kitchener a little while ago, and I guess somebody got a CD. I couldn't make it to the show.
Oh yeah.
So that I found at a used shop in town, and I opened it up, and there's a huge amount of there's the autograph inside, which I thought was really cool.
Nice. Yeah, I remember that show last time that Video Games Live was in Kitchener. It was I actually ditched my girlfriend at the time so I could go and see the show, and I really shouldn't have done that. I should have brought her instead. So it's like, it's funny how that worked out in the end. So, but yeah, it was a really great show, and the music was incredible. And they even had like a DDR contest where there was this guy who played DDR on stage, and he managed to master or played on the master setting and beat the whole level without a single mistake. And Tommy commented that some of the best video game players he's ever seen are from Kitchener. Yeah, so yeah, I'm looking forward to going to that show again. If you manage to get the tickets, maybe we can hang out a bit. I don't even know where my seats are. I got them for a gift at Christmas time, so no,
Okay.
I really highly recommend anyone to go check out that show. And if you're not in the Kitchener area, he also does some in Toronto and basically all over Canada. So yeah, just check
All
out.
over the
Yeah, so just check out the Video Games Live website or Facebook page, and you should be able to, viewers can be able to find it.
Sounds cool.
All right, so yeah, I guess maybe oh yeah, we got a little bit of comments coming in from the chat. Yeah, that there's bands covering these new songs now too. That's from Jason. Yeah, so I
yeah.
guess. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that just recently well, recently as in like maybe 2 years ago, Assassin's Creed Syndicate had a bunch of like what they call murder ballads on the and they have been covered by various people, including like, I don't know if you're familiar with Peter Hollins.
Yeah, that does ring a bell.
And yeah, he's got a huge amount of like movie work that he's done, where people have requested, and that he has graciously re-recorded these. And he actually recorded one of these murder ballads from Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and
Oh, nice.
it's really cool. And he does all his stuff a cappella, so there's no. There's no everything's done by the human voice. No, there's no musical instruments or anything like that involved. It's really cool. And Austin Wintry, the guy who actually did the music for Assassin's Creed Syndicate, wrote the theme for my show.
Oh, no kidding.
So yeah, he was. It's a real honor. Like, and that's been what, since about 2010. That theme has been part of my show, and he's just a great guy to boot. Austin Wintry is just a real down to earth guy, and actually all of these guys, most of the composers that I've spoken to over the years, are just really like, they just really like. Well, a lot of them are influenced by John Williams, but there's a lot of them that they're just really cool to talk to.
Cool.
And I've done, well, I mean, if you visit my website,
Yeah.
have a whole bunch of interviews there with people like Bear McCreary, like Austin Wintry, Graham Revell, Laura Karpman, Jesper Kidd. He's a video game composer from. That's, I believe, originally did the Assassin's Creed stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
So
okay.
yeah,
I'll just try putting up your website here on the screen so that people can check it out. Yeah, it's a really cool site.
but yeah, I mean, when you hear, different rock bands and stuff like that covering the video game music, and I have heard that. I believe that. Well, I mean, Tommy does whenever he does the show. There's stuff like Mario and all of that, and that stuff has kind of put itself in the pop culture, and so it doesn't surprise me at all that bands would be covering this stuff as well,
Yeah.
or at least making reference to it. Well, I mean, it goes as far back as Rush, when they referenced Space Invaders.
Yeah.
And in Tom Sawyer.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, it's doesn't surprise me at all that that bands would be covering this stuff either. So it's really, for me, it's really cool.
Nice. Yeah, and one of the pictures or slides I got ready here is you holding up the Indiana Jones, the Crystal Skull. A lot of my viewers are big fans of ancient mysteries, so I figured I'd put up this slide next. Did you want to tell me a little bit more about that, or
what, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Oh yeah, is that the DVD or the soundtrack, or?
It's a soundtrack.
Oh, okay, cool.
I did well. I mean, I did it would be silly for me not to do a. Actually, that was, I believe that shot is from my. It was one of my anniversary shows, and what I did was I put a call out to various composers and people on Facebook and said, okay, send me a little blurb or kind of a small review on various soundtracks. And one of the soundtracks that this guy chose was actually Edwin Wendler, who is another composer who's done a whole bunch of scores for, like, there was a proof of concept called Azarius Rising that he did the music for. He did music that actually just got released recently, Christmas with a capital C. And so he was the one that talked about Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And he did a fantastic job. It's not, I'm trying to remember which show it was. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But he was really well spoken about it. His one of his friends as well actually talked about James Horner's The New World and that sort of thing. So I mean, but yeah, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I mean, it's, to me, it's one of those films that a lot of people can take or leave it out of the kind of the Indiana Jones saga, but
yeah,
I don't mind it. It wasn't. It's in my opinion, it's not as bad as people say it is.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I really like that movie. Maybe not just for like the quality of the movie or how the action and stuff turned out, but just the content. Like the Crystal Skull really hit home for me, because you probably know too that the most famous crystal skull of all, the Anna Mitchell Hedges crystal skull. It used to be stored in Kitchener. Like the lady who was looking after it, she lived on my cousin's street for a long time. So that's one of the main reasons that I love that. It's like, did you know that the crystal skull was here in Kitchener for so long?
It was about a block away from where I used to live.
Oh, no kidding! Huh? Small world.
And they did a documentary on the Crystal Skull one time. They showed this house, and they said that this person in Canada has a crystal skull.
Yeah.
And I said, that's just up the street. Live. And sure enough, I got on my bike and I rode up the street, and sure enough, it was the same house.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's cool.
No, there was some really cool stuff that happened with the crystal skull. Like, people were saying that the Anna Mitchell Hedges skull wasn't legit, and that even all the tests that were done showed that there wasn't any evidence of tool marks. And then there was this legend, or I guess she talked about, that the crystal skull promised to keep her alive for 100 years as long as she looked after the skull. And lo and behold, when she died on her 100th birthday.
That's wild.
Yeah, can you imagine, eh? So I don't know for sure if this crystal skull we had in Kitchener was legit or something, but there's definitely some evidence that pointing towards that it could have been a real ancient crystal skull.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
All right, it looks like we might have just lost Rob. I don't know if maybe talking about the crystal skull was a little bit too dangerous of a topic. I'm going to try giving him a call back right now. Yeah, I'm just getting a message saying that Skype has stopped working. So it says, please close the window and try again. Alright, so I'm just going to try calling Rob back quick here. Sorry about that, viewers. It's the first time I've actually dropped a call on Skype, so I guess sometimes you talk about a little bit of a touchy subject and get some unwanted attention, or maybe it is just a technical glitch. I guess maybe we'll go on to a new slide once I get Rob back on the show here. Yeah, it looks like my Skype is still working properly, so... Hey Rob, you're back.
Something happened there. I don't know what.
Yeah, it's funny how when you talk about touchy issues, sometimes technical glitches happen. That was the first time I've ever dropped a call on my show, and I think about 12 episodes now. So maybe we should move on from the topic of the Crystal Skull before we get any more people upset, or whoever's watching the show, or just technical issues.
That's odd. Because, yeah. Okay. Okay, let's move on.
All right. Oh, well, the next slide I had is a skull, too. So I guess, is this related to the Crystal Skull or just a skull in general?
Oh, that's a Halloween show. That's just me being silly.
Okay, cool. All right, what are some of the other slides I got ready here? I'll just check. Yeah, let's see. Oh, yeah, I had a newspaper clipping.
Ah, yes. That's from a couple of years ago. A local, kind of a little local newspaper approached me and said, we want to talk about, what you do.
Yeah.
And this was the woman that interviewed me. I used to work with when I was at Rogers. So that's how she knew me.
Oh.
And, so yeah, they brought me in as took a picture and did the whole interview, and it was really cool. It was just basically just a kind of a synopsis of what I do, and it was when I was still at it was still at CKMS.
Okay.
I was the music director at the time, but I mean I was still producing my show.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, it's always nice to get your picture in the paper. I can't say I've ever had that happen with me before.
Yeah, it's happened to me a few times, but this was one of the first times that it was kind of like something that was just about me. There were other times when I get my picture in the paper and it would be like just an event or something I was at.
Yeah.
And that's what. And when you work in media, you kind of expect that your picture is going to show up on TV, whether it's intentional or not. I remember one time I got a call from my mom saying, "Oh, I saw you on TV." I go, "Where?" She says, "Yeah, you were bowling."
What?
Like, oh, okay, yeah. I was at some sort of event at the town bowl, and the CTV happened to be there. And I just happened to be walking by the camera as they were doing stuff. So, and I got seen. So, yeah.
Wow, funny how that works.
Yeah.
All right, the next slide I got ready here. It looks like you accepting an award on stage.
Yeah. There was an award ceremony back in like 2006, 2007. I'm just looking up at the award up there.
Oh, nice.
Where it's stored, and it was just. I won that for the best show, and then there was best show for those years, 2006, 2007.
Wow, congrats.
Well, thanks. I mean, it's been a while, but yeah, it was a great night. Actually, the funny part about that is that I was directing video coverage of the event when I got called on stage to accept the award.
Nice.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. It kind of blew me away. Actually, I was kind of really shocked.
Wow. Okay. The next one that I got here looks like a Lord of the Rings hat, I guess, in a ring too.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about that, when you're in this media world, you get a lot of interesting things sent to you.
Oh, no kidding.
So yeah, that was for a promotion of the Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, the last of the Lord of the Rings films.
Wow.
And they sent me a bunch of hats, and actually the ring is I actually don't remember where the ring came from, but if you turn the there's a little switch on it, you turn it, it actually glows.
Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit there.
Yeah, and yeah. I used to wear that every once in a while. I've still got it. It's kicking around in a bunch of stuff that I've got hanging up on one of my shelves. But yeah, it's, again, like I said, you get when I did The Matrix in 2003, actually it was Matrix Reloaded, they sent me a bunch of stuff.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, I still have this day posters from the that are stored away. Posters that they gave me, what was it, 150, 200 posters to give away, and I said, people, if you want a poster from The Matrix Reloaded, come on down to the radio station and pick up your poster.
Nice.
And so yeah, and I ended up getting there's a bunch that, like, 5 copies of the score that I gave away, and just a bunch of stuff. And this was at a time when they were really pushing the Matrix and the whole idea of the sequels and that sort of thing. And I ended up getting a couple of baseball caps. Again, all this stuff has been given away over time. But yeah, I kept the Lord of the Rings hat. I actually have a Matrix Revolutions toque somewhere as well.
Nice. No, I was hoping maybe on the Fringe we could do a show on the Matrix theory someday, like the holographic universe idea. It's one of my favorite authors, Jim Elvich, does a lot of work on it, and he's agreed to be on the show, but we just got to set it up sometime. But what a cool idea that the Matrix has behind it, right?
For sure. I mean, I remember going into a bookstore just like around the time, and there were shelves of books on the whole theory of, the whole theory about the Matrix, and if it was real, this is, and philosophy that would come from that and that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, that would be a great show. I mean, the idea of an artificial world that we don't know about, and only certain people can kind of perceive, to me is fascinating, and something I think would make a really good show.
Yeah. No, hopefully we can set that up for the near future sometime. Get you on back as a co-host.
That'd be really cool.
All right, cool. Let's see. Did I have any more slides? Oh, yeah, there was one here about you with a record that says Star Wars, but it doesn't look like the traditional Star Wars that I'm familiar with.
Well, it's that is actually my very first introduction. Well, I mean, I won't say my very first introduction to the Star Wars music, but I got that for Christmas in
nice.
'77. And it was done by an artist by the name of Miko.
Okay.
And it's basically discoized Star Wars music, but it is done it's if you've never heard it before, it is gloriously cool to listen to.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. To just have a quick listen to, and again, like I said, that is the original. That is from my my collection of various albums and such like that. I mean, I do still get vinyl every once in a while.
Nice.
For my shows and that sort of thing, and we still have turntables at the station.
Yeah, I've seen those.
So I mean, we can still play vinyl. And I mean, it is making a comeback. I actually just recently picked up the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack on vinyl. And
cool.
Real fun stuff. Yeah.
All right, I guess we're getting pretty close to time that we should take a break. So I was just going to put on one of the slides that I got ready here. What is it? Oh yeah, this is the picture out front of the studio that we work at.
Yep.
So I guess for the next part of the show, is there anything else that you wanted to cover before we get on to the security footage and the Anubis amulet part, or we could summarize more of what you did at the end of the show too?
Yeah, that'll work as well. But I mean, if you're interested in listening to the show, by all means, you can go on and listen live every Saturday morning, 12:30 to 2:30.
Okay.
You can go on my website. I have shows from my early days, 2000 to I believe 2003. I got a whole bunch more to put up. I mean, I have 900 plus shows now.
Wow.
To upload to the website. So I mean, it's going to take some time. But yeah, I mean, go on the website, check out the shows. I do. There should be something there for everybody. If you're a fan of video game music, if you're a fan of television music, if you're a fan of movies in general, then just enjoy the show and enjoy the music.
Cool. Yeah, and if anyone needs to get Rob's website here, it's going to be showing up in the ticker at the bottom of the video. And I'll have his show link set up in the description once I load it up onto YouTube. And I guess I'll include it somewhere on the Facebook page if I can find a spot to add it to. So, yeah, I guess the next half of the show, or the remainder of the show, we're going to be talking about some strange security camera footage that happened at the studio here. And it's kind of, I don't know if coincidence, but I gave the studio a copy of an Anubis amulet that my family's had for a long time. And some people are wondering if it was just like spiders in front of the camera or some sort of effect from the Anubis amulet. But I guess I'll play the video of what happened on the security camera next. And if anyone's into orbs and paranormal stuff, it's like that's what we're going to be talking about after we play this video.
Cool.
Alright, so if everyone wants to stay tuned, this video clip isn't very long, and interestingly enough, the music that's playing in the background for this clip actually happened during Rob's show. So, yeah, stay tuned, and I'll just load up the clip here for everyone. And, yeah, stay tuned. Alright, so that was the video clip from the station security camera showing what looks to be some sort of strange orb floating in front of the doors there. And yeah. It's funny how the music is so well timed for it too.
Yeah, that's the funny part about that. It's music from that was actually my Castlevania show.
Oh, nice.
And that was music from, I believe the game was Symphony of the Night. So one of the old PlayStation games.
Cool.
So yeah, just happenstance. I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and I went, "That's odd." So yeah. I grabbed my phone camera and I just held it up to the video screen because I knew getting the security camera footage was going to be difficult at best.
Yeah.
So, and I mean now that all the time has passed, that's what we've got. But yeah, and it has come back as recently as a few weeks ago.
Oh, no kidding.
So now since the station has been saged and kind of cleaned out, no, there's not that we haven't seen an orb since.
Yeah.
But who's to say they won't come back?
No, it's interesting that for the On the Fringe show, we had some guests that I guess they're mediums, was it? And they commented how the station seemed to have some sort of strangeness or some bad energy fields associated with it or something, and they recommended doing the sage.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, we went in and we saged the place. Actually, interesting to note, I actually brought in a Lutheran pastor to bless the equipment shortly after. I don't know, probably about maybe a year and a half ago, and
Wow.
so yeah, just to kind of go through each one of the rooms and do a blessing to the station and to the equipment. Now, I mean, it's always good to kind of keep that up, but I mean, when we sage the place as well, it seems to be good.
Nice. Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, I guess I'll talk a little bit more about the Anubis amulet, but I just wanted to get to is like, I think I've heard you answer this question before when we were working at the station, but just for any of our new listeners or viewers that haven't heard, like, what triggered your interest into the paranormal? Was it like watching TV shows about it, or did you have a paranormal encounter originally?
Well, no, actually, it was funny. My love of the paranormal came from the X-Files.
Nice.
And, I watched the show, and I mean, I'll say it even goes back further than the X-Files, actually. I used to go to the library when I was a kid, and I would take out books on UFOs and Bigfoot. And there was this one book that was a yellow book, and it was The Truth About Bigfoot or something along those lines, and it had the famous video on the front of the film, a still of the film where you see Bigfoot, doing the lumbering walk, and that freaked me out as a kid, and I was just like, I wasn't like worried that Bigfoot was going to get me, but there was this whole idea of going into the woods, and you saw this weirdness that would go on in these. This was probably around the 1970s, early 80s, and there were a lot of documentaries that would come out, like Chariots of the Gods.
Yeah, the Eric Von Daniken one, yeah.
Exactly, and all of these other kind of weird. Apparent. One of them was about Bigfoot. I think that's what the book was based on. Was this, or what the documentary was based on? Was this book? And like I said, it freaked the crap out of me. I was just, I was an impressionable little guy, and it did, and that I guess that kind of brought me to the point where eventually it was like, I didn't mind being scared. I kind of enjoyed the idea of the unknown, and that my fear about it was kind of not unwarranted, but kind of maybe a little bit silly. I don't know. But then eventually, like I said, there was a show in the 70s, I believe, called Project UFO.
All right.
And it dealt with Project Blue Book, and
cool.
it used the stories of Project Blue Book, and I brought it into the television series. I just remember a couple of episodes. There was one where the kids saw there was these kids, and they shot an arrow at something, and it turned out to be like a robot test or something like that, because it blunted the arrow and that sort of thing. It was just a bunch of weird stories, and then of course, like the X-Files came up in 93 and 91, and that show just kind of really grabbed my attention, and grabbed the attention of my 10-year-old niece as well, to the point where we went to an X-Files convention, which was, you've heard about Star Trek conventions and that sort of thing. We went to an X-Files convention, and it was really cool. And to this day, I still have a shirt that says "Trust No One" on it.
Nice.
So that kind of got me interested in the paranormal, and kept my interest going. And then, of course, there are stations now that you can get on that have programming where they run all the time. It's like, Destination, what is it? Destination Unknown, or that Josh Gates show.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other shows that, what was the Plumbers, that did, that had a paranormal show on for a while.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that one before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to mention quick, there's another person in the chat here, Jeff, and he was just saying nice work with the video recording the orb, and he's glad that we brought it up on the show. It's like, I guess he was saying before that it was one of his favorite orb videos that he's ever seen.
Yeah, it's funny about that video, because I was just sitting there doing my show.
Yeah.
Just out of the corner of my eye, I saw this thing moving, and it was like, so I took the video and I said, because there's no way that anybody's going to believe me if I tell them.
Yeah.
So I taps. Yeah, thank you in the comments. It was taps.
Is that what that's referring to? I was like, man, is that a question? I'm not sure of it.
That's the name of the show with the well, they were originally Plumbers, and they eventually, I guess, did the show enough that they were getting paid to do it. Ghost Hunters International was another one that was one of the was kind of based on the show. But yeah, when I saw the orb, I said, I got to get video on this. I got to do something. Or like I said, no one's going to believe me if I tell them. Everybody I've showed it to has kind of gone, holy crap.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Well, just to play devil's advocate, I guess I was talking to Burgess, one of our co-hosts, about it, and he believes that it was a spider that was in front of the camera. But the only thing I was wondering about that is the orb seems to move around a lot, and if it was just a spider web, it seems kind of funny that it would be moving like that, because we don't really have wind in the studio or anything, right?
It moves in a very unusual pattern. It'll start on one side, like there was a lot more movement when after I took the video, but I figured just the small amount of video that I had would people would go, yeah, that's pretty wild. But it kept moving kind of back and forth, and then it would come back, and then it would disappear, and then it would come back, and then there was, like, I think they had two or three that showed up, and then those would disappear. And I went out to stand where the video camera was.
Yeah.
I kind of looked at it, and I said, there's nothing on it. There's no cobwebs or anything like that were hanging off of it.
Oh, so you didn't see any spider webs, eh?
I didn't see any webs on it or anything like that.
Huh.
And the thing is, now from that moment, it has been dusted, has been cleaned.
Yeah.
But the orbs have returned.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I should tell the viewers or the listeners, if they're just listening online, the history of this Anubis amulet is basically, let's see if I can get a photo of it up here. It's basically an amulet that my aunt discovered in the ruins of a really old house. It was our family farmhouse, and she found it about 50 years ago or so. So it's like we're not even sure how long it was in this house to begin with. And then basically what happened was I took it to a lab in Toronto, and got a 3D scan made from it, and then started sharing the copies with people. And the original Anubis amulet has always been associated with different hauntings, like people hearing voices at night if it wasn't stored correctly, like it describes in the Book of the Dead. So I know I gave Rob a copy of the amulet yesterday, so maybe I should tell you how to store it just in case, so we don't have more encounters happening at your house.
The thing was, I haven't told you about the encounters that I had. I mean, you've heard it because you were, we work on the show together.
Yeah, no, if you want, go ahead, tell us about that.
Okay, just recently, as recently as like a few months ago, I was lying in bed, cats on my hip.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is that a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, the cat knocked the knock the stuff off. No, I had 2 bottles of medicine up on the dresser.
All right.
One would have been what I would have said. Oh, it was just the fan or something like that. No, both fell off. I had 2 bottles. They both fell off. Startled the cat. That's what woke me up. And I was like, well, that's odd. Why would that? Of all things. And so, just for the sake of argument, I grabbed my phone and I turned on the flashlight. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm not going to see one of those long-faced ghosts face like, oh, like that. See that? Nothing like that. So I figured, okay, it was just sort of something that happened, and I'll put the medicine back and leave it at that.
Yeah.
Well, okay. A couple of days later, after that happened, I had I put my cell phone case on my bedside table.
Okay.
And I heard it fall. I woke up, figured, okay, I'll get it in the morning.
Yeah.
I woke up in the morning, it was gone.
Whoa.
And and I went to look for it, and it was, I would say, almost 5 feet away from the actual bedside table.
Okay.
In a pile of clothes. So I couldn't find it. It was hidden.
All right.
And so, to the point where I actually went out and got myself another case, thinking I'd lost it.
Yeah.
Like, if it had fallen off of the bedside table, it would just be on the floor.
Yeah, that would make sense, right?
It wasn't just on the floor, it was like 5 feet away in this pile of clothes.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, that's odd to have, it didn't just fall and bounce. It fell and it got moved. Jeez. And I know that during the night, like the way the bedside table is that there's no way that I could have kicked the case, because if it had fallen off, it would have fell straight down and just onto the floor. And where I get out of bed, it's much further down. So when I got out of bed, I wouldn't have kicked it. So I'm thinking, okay, that's weird. So I searched all over the bedroom for it and found it in this pile of clothes, and I went, okay, that's odd. Then, a couple of days after that, I woke up in the morning and my glasses were gone.
Jeez, that is weird, huh?
I went, okay, this is getting a little bit strange. And I went, okay, where are my glasses? Because, well, I need my glasses to drive.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to go anywhere without them.
Yeah, good idea.
I looked around, couldn't find them, went off to the bathroom, came back, and I stood in the bedroom. I looked down at the floor, or actually, just before that, I heard this click, click, click noise, as if my glasses had fallen.
Okay.
Sure enough, I looked down. They're right down by my feet.
Wow.
Again, about 5 feet away from the bedside table. If they had fallen off the bedside table, they would have just been on the floor.
Yeah.
5 feet away.
Instead of somewhere else, yeah.
So I'm thinking, that's bizarre. And I figured, okay, something thinks it's having fun with me.
Now, it reminds me of the story, I don't know if we covered it on The Fringe, sort of like the trickster entity, like some sort of a paranormal creature that likes to play tricks on people, like hiding stuff and moving objects, and that almost sounds like that, huh?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I thought. And, I come from a Lutheran background.
Okay.
So, I mean, I believe in a higher power and that sort of thing. I believe in God.
Yeah.
Just put that out there. And
no, actually, half of my family's Lutheran too, so we've probably even gone to the same church before.
Possible. But the thing is, it's that when something like that happens, it's like, well, there's obviously more out there than what's being taught in Bible school. But in any case,
Yeah.
the whole idea was that this stuff had been moved by something. So what we did, my wife and I, we reinforced our salt line at the door, and we prayed on it.
Okay.
And we also simply said, and we smudged. We smudged the apartment.
Nice.
So yeah, that's and touch wood. There's some wood. Touch wood. It hasn't happened since.
Well, that's cool.
And I'm hoping that as long as you tell me how to properly store said Anubis amulet, that nothing will continue.
Yeah, here, maybe I can find a slide that has the instructions on how to store it. It's like I actually made it into a poster, and I was giving the poster out to people as well, just so that any copies that I give out, it's like I don't want to be, I guess, causing curses or paranormal stuff. So, all right, here's the slide here, and it's from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, spell 151. And it says, in the tomb chamber, a magic brick with the amulet of Anubis is placed on the west wall, facing east to the mummy. And a seated Anubis jackal protects against any aggression. And it's neat that my aunt said when she found the Anubis amulet, it was actually stored, like hidden on the inside of a warming oven on a brick, and it was placed in the same way where it was facing east. So I was like, wow, isn't that weird? And she said after she brought it home, she ended up storing it in a similar fashion. And any time that they moved it away, that's when they started hearing voices at night, almost like a weird language that no one could determine what it was. So some days I'm almost tempted to store it in a different fashion and get the EVP recorders going to see if we can record some stuff. But in a way, I don't want to be like playing around with fire, right? Seems a little bit dangerous. I don't know. I have a feeling, too, as long as you don't believe in curses, that the Anubis amulet won't do anything harmful, but maybe the placebo effect comes into it, right? Like, if you believe that in curses really big, it might actually affect you more than someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm not a huge proponent of curses myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking, but just to be safe, store it in the proper manner.
Yeah. No, and just for anyone who's wondering, like the scientific background to tests that were done on this amulet, it's like I contacted the University of Ottawa, and their plan is that they want to do a carbon dating test on the paint that's on the amulet. But the only problem is they need a relatively large sample, and the amulet itself is like really tiny. Could show it to people here, so you're not really going to be able to scrape much paint off something like this for a test without completely destroying it. And then the other test I had done was a lab in Toronto, and they did scans on it with like 3D scanners, the best ones that we got. And they commented too that this looks like an old type of stainless steel, similar to Damascus steel, and that it's really super strong and it barely rusts, and it's like relatively lightweight for its size. And what was the last test? Oh yeah, the last test that I'm getting done on it was the head of the Egyptology department at the ROM, like the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto. She wants to take a look at it, so sometime this year I'm going to go down to the museum and keep my fingers crossed that they're able to tell me some more information about it too. So it's not like we're just guessing that this is an ancient amulet without doing any scientific research or anything, that there's actually been a lot of people that are interested in it. Even the lab in Toronto, all the guys that were in the factory that were doing these tests on it, I never told them that it was an Anubis amulet. Like I just like vaguely said, hey, do you guys want to make me a copy of this amulet and tell me what you think about it? And they said that the whole factory within a few weeks of doing tests on it was talking about it, and everyone wanted to know more. So it's definitely an interesting thing we got here. I'm not sure if it is really an ancient like Anubis amulet and the Phoenicians brought it here, but maybe one day we'll get to the bottom of it.
For sure.
Yeah, and I was going to say too, we've been running a little bit over the time, I guess, for the show. I don't want to keep you too long. I guess, is there any projects that you got coming up in the future that you want to tell the viewers about?
Well, I mean, my show is ongoing.
Yeah.
I've got this particular week is part 2 of my best of 2017.
Cool.
And I follow that with the best of 2017 part 3, which is a look at the soundtracks that weren't necessarily originally released in 2017, but have been re-released through various record or different labels and that sort of thing to that past year. For example, there's the Wonder Woman, the original 74, 75 series.
Okay.
The music for that actually just got a release last year, so that's going to be part of the show.
Cool.
There's a Water World, for example, was also released. An expanded Waterworld soundtrack was released, so that's probably going to be on the show. There's a couple of other things that have popped up over the last little while that are probably going to appear on that show. And then, of course, I've got like a bunch of other shows coming up. Ones like the television show The Prisoner. We're going to be we're actually going to be celebrating the 50th anniversary of the final episode called Fallout of The Prisoner. It was released in '68, so we've got a 50th anniversary happening this year.
Okay.
So there's also like, well, of course, I've got 80s month coming up in April, so there's a lot to look forward to in the next little while. Of course, Black Panther is coming out, so that's going to have a really interesting score to it.
Yeah. No, I just recently seen the preview for that Black Panther movie, and man, it's like full of action. It really looks like a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm also doing the 25th anniversary of the video game Myst.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was one of the first games to come out on CD-ROM, wasn't it?
Exactly, one of the very early CD-ROM games.
Yeah.
And there's been 5 or 6 games beyond that, and I have the soundtracks to most of them.
Nice.
I'm going to be playing some music from the various video games and that sort of thing. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Cool.
In the next few weeks. And of course, I've got like a whole bunch of other different shows happening over the next little while that are just going to be. I mean, I'm looking at heading towards 1,000 shows. So.
Wow.
There's going to be a lot of good stuff coming up.
Nice. Yeah, I hope in the future you're able to come back and talk about video games some more, because it's a topic that I really like, and I'm sure my viewers like it. I got myself a little video game shirt to show everyone how much I really do like video games, and yeah, even the movie stuff and all the different ancient themed movies. If you wanted to come back and talk about it, that'd be really great. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you again in the studio soon too. Right?
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Yeah, and all my viewers wanted to say an extra thanks too for coming on and talking about the Anubis amulet, because I've got the video up on my YouTube channel if anyone wants to see it again, but just getting a chance to hear an interview with the person who recorded the footage was really awesome. So I appreciate you coming on the show and talking about it. It's really pretty wild, and I hope that this video works well on Facebook, and if it doesn't, I guess maybe I'll just get you the YouTube link. If you want to share the show, that'd be awesome. I'll try to keep promoting your show as well.
Hey, no problem. No, I appreciate that.
Cool. All right. Is there any last segments that you needed to say before we go, or I guess I'll just see you at the station?
No, I'll just remind everybody that Visions and Sound is on 12:30 to 2:30 every Saturday morning.
Nice.
FM 98.5 CKWR. You can also go on the website, ckwr.com, and listen to the show via streaming if you're outside the listening area. Also, visionsandsound.ca is my website.
Yep.
And I have interviews, past shows, little features that I like to put up every once in a while. And just if you're interested in movie, TV, or video game soundtrack music, by all means, I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I'd love you to come and enjoy the music on the website.
Nice. Yeah, I listen to the radio a lot when I'm at work, and I'm going to have to try to convince my boss to let me put on 98.5 because I'm dying to hear your show. All right, cool. Thanks again for being a guest on the Magi Show, Rob, and see you at the studio.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll see you. See you, Leland.
Okay, take care. See you later.
Hey. Bye-bye.
Okay, everybody, that was Rob Daniels, and oh, Kathy just joined the chat. Hey, Kathy. Yeah, sorry you couldn't make it here sooner, but we'll try to keep these live streams going on Facebook. If I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that today's episode recorded properly. Had a little bit of setbacks with the studio lighting. I'll get that resolved for the next show, and yeah, I really encourage everyone to check out Rob's work. Here, I'll just put his slide up there on there again. It's really fun working with Rob, and he's a great speaker. So I highly recommend checking out his show, and maybe when some more ancient themed video games come out, we'll be able to talk video games and ancient stuff at the same time. That'd be really awesome. And yeah, I guess I'll just go over and make sure I didn't forget anything else for the show. Any of my notes that I needed to talk about before the end. No, it looks like I pretty much covered everything. Yeah, and there we go. So that's the music that means it's the time for the end of the Magi Show for today. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and make sure you can jump over to my YouTube channel and watch this show later. I guess for Kathy who just joined in, it'll be on the archive on YouTube. And if you could subscribe and like and share the videos, that really helps. And also even here on Facebook, if this stream went well on Facebook, I'm going to keep trying to do it here. And it seems like we got a little bit more interaction with the viewers this way, so it'd be cool if the Facebook thing works out also. All right, and thanks for everyone that's been helping me with the ancient mystery research. And I guess I'll just wrap this up for today. Thanks everyone, and have a good night. Take care. See you later. The Magi Show was brought to you by the Milky Way. I hate this galaxy.